as of now we kind of went ahead and looked at these options what are on the home tab, right? Today we'll try to kind of explore the options from transform tab, the second tab, the very second tab after home tab. So over here, if I go by the first option, which is group by, right? So I believe now you guys can answer that what group by is, because we already used it from the home tab, group by, right? So what does this do, group by option?
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. That will group by the criteria. Then it will the sum up the total of the particular criteria where we have grouped that one.
Right. So not only sum, but any aggregation like average, median, mode, minimum, maximum, or count, whatever you want to kind of calculate, you can calculate by using few columns on a group by. Right. So it works exactly the same as in SQL Server or in SQL. You use group by logic for aggregation. Correct. Then you have used first row as headers. So this option also be used, like you can use first row as a header. So like these headers will be replaced by the values in the first row, or vice versa. The other option is like use headers as the first row. So whatever values you get in the headers, if you use the second option, these will be added as a value over here in row 1, and in that case you will get like column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, like that, right? So that transformation you can change first row into header or header into first row, that you can perform over here. Now if we talk about transpose, what is transpose? I think we didn't use it earlier, but what is transpose?
We can make rows into columns and columns into rows.
Correct. So likewise in Excel also we have a transpose option on paste special. So you can convert your rows into columns and columns into rows. So what I'll do, let me, this is the dummy table. Okay, yes, it has only 4 columns. So I'll apply transpose over here and we'll see that how you get the values. So in total you got 38 rows and 4 columns. So if I change, transpose it, so what will happen? See, now if you see, you're getting column 1, column 2, column 3 like this, and in total you got 38 columns. So all individual rows, earlier we had 38 rows, they got converted into individual columns. And we had 4 columns earlier, so each new column has those 4 rows now, right? Elimination, capitalized salaries, the currency, and the amount. So in same way, rows into columns and column into rows. Now let's say if I change it again, right? What I mean, if I change this row into column, what will happen? See, you got the original data back, correct? But over here, one problem only which I can see, in the source data, you had these headers: company, account name, currency, and date. Are you getting? We had the original headers over here. But as in when you transpose and then you transpose back, you don't get those headers. You get column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. Those
Yeah.
headers are gone, right? So that is but obvious, because you are changing, we have transposed back it from the result of previous transpose. So my headers are already gone. In case you need to kind of add headers, you can do manually and type it whatever you want, right? That is how you will be kind of adding the columns again. Or otherwise what you can do is go to source. I mean that is possible only in Power BI right now. Go to source and take all the headers what you had. So basically in change data type, I believe, yes, over here you have these headers. Copy these headers from here, and then in the result set, the last result, try to paste those columns here. So like column 1 as company, then comma, in second curly bracket you can write the new name for this column and column 2. So like column 2 comma the new name of this column. So this is how you will kind of replace or rename each column, from column 1 to company, column 2 to maybe account name, or column 3 to currency, column 4 to date, right? So transpose is easy. The only thing it is losing the headers if you do for the multiple transpose. Then okay, so what is this reverse rows? Invert this table's row such that the last row are displayed first. So it's a kind of descending. I would not say it's ascending or descending order, because you are not kind of doing it basis some value. But what you are doing is you are just reversing, irrespective of the data. You are just reversing the order. So for example, over here, I mean, I'll just go back again to that small data set. Dummy table, I'll remove all the transposed ones so that I can see my original data, that is this. Now over here, if you see, let me sort it by, okay, let me just look at this particular field over here in date basically, right? Or maybe, yeah, in in the date field only. It's a kind of different format of the numbers. So over here, if you see, the last numbers are coming negative as 5 lakh or 200 244 lakhs, something like that, right? So if you just use the reverse, what will you see? Like these rows which are at the top, they will come are coming in the bottom, they will come at the top. So let me just do over here. Now you can see those rows which were there in the bottom, they are coming at the top. So the data entirely got reversed, right? Again, you might ask that where do we use this for visualization? How does it matter? So of course, for visualization, it doesn't matter. It is the only way to kind of check your data before you get into the visualization. So you can look into your data, clean it, or maybe do all sort of cleaning and filtering. Count rows. Any idea what it is going to do?
So it will count the total number of rows which are the count text.
Right. So basically it is going to return you only one record as soon as you apply this, and that record will have count of the total data in your data set. So I'll just go ahead and kind of apply this. As soon as we do count rows, see, we got just one row, that is 38 total records, right? Counted rows 38. So it just to know your data, that how much record it has, that's it. Then data type. So next, this particular field, if you see, it's all about data type. So over here, if you select, right, the last field, though it is date, but what it says, decimal number, right? And that is why you are getting all these numbers here. So let me just convert this into date. So in order to change this date, I'll just go ahead and click on this drop down, and we can get the date over here. So your field gets converted into date. Now the challenge is the few places where the value is not compatible with the date type, it is giving you the error, right? For example, over here it is null, and then it's error and error. Okay, maybe, I mean, I don't think it is date then. Looking at the numbers, looking at the dates now, it doesn't look like it's a date. Maybe just the header is a date and remaining fields are as number only. Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
This field will not be date. Only the header is the date of 31st of December to 2019. This will be like the values or maybe amount in that particular month. So I'll change it back to whole number, replace the current. Yes. So these are the values what you got. By changing this, you can change it into any other field also if you wish, maybe text. So see, on this option actually you have few things like replace current step or add new step. If you replace current step over here, the only this step will get replaced. But if you do new step, it will add another step over here, right? Ultimately, we want to kind of convert our data, so that's why I'm using replace data every time. So if I do so, see, this step only changes. There is no new step getting added over here. So I just converted this into text. That is the first one, right? Then it says detect data type, right? Let's say you are getting text over here and you are not sure that what actual data type this field has. You just click on it because the field was already selected, right? I clicked on detect data type. It has by default given decimal number, which means yes, it got uh, Power BI has automatically detected the data type. Correct. Why it is important to kind of use this option, detect data type? I would not say it is mandatory, but why it is good to use? Any benefit of using this detect data types?
So if we have any one large data like 2000 columns to 3000 columns, we cannot go to each and every data type whether it is if we choose any whole number like that.
Mhm.
So we cannot go to each and everything and we can see okay whether it is in the same format like that. So if we give the detect data type like that, so if it is any single number is not in the whole number format, so it will not detect like that. So it will just go to that float format like that, so that we can come to know okay in the center column there is one float format like that.
Yeah, similar to that, I would say, right? See, what happens, let's say you connect it to your data, and as you said that, let's say there are number of fields. So what will happen? One option is like you go one by one and kind of, check for the data type, right? Now, see, why we need to check the data type again? That is a question. Because if you're connecting to your data, right, you could have done it in the data source itself. Why you're checking the data type here, right? So let me tell you, like if you are getting data from any database, right, any database like SQL Server or maybe Oracle, then definitely you need not to worry about the data types, because in databases your data will definitely be in a required format only, and whatever format it is required, you will get the same thing over here. But the cases wherein you are connecting to data like from CSV file, Excel file, or maybe Notepad, right, or maybe log files, so what will happen in that case? Everything comes as a text, whether it is your measure, whether it is your dimension, everything comes as a text over here. In that case, it is very important to kind of convert the fields into their original format. And for that, if you follow this option like select column and then easily just click on detect data type, Power BI will automatically find its native data type and show you the values in that format. But in case, let's say Power BI has converted or marked something, so for example, like if you go by row ID or maybe the employee ID, Power BI will mark that as a numerical field. If let's say if I go here in orders, see, it's marked as it as whole number. Even I can go and mark it as text, and if I do it again like detect data type, it will do that whole number, because the nature of the values over here is a whole number. That's why it is doing that. But by experience, we know that though it is a whole number, but we cannot use it as a number or a measure. Correct? So that's why it becomes, even you use like detect data type, still it becomes important to kind of overlook your data. Overlook for such fields like ID fields or row ID fields. They should not be a numerical field. They should always be either distinct or in a text format. Sorry, not distinct, discrete. Do you know what is the difference between discrete or continuous numbers? Guys, what's the difference
Sorry.
between discrete and continuous numbers?
Sorry. Don't know.
Okay.
Discrete.
Can you repeat? I was not able to hear you.
Okay. What is discrete and what is continuous?
Okay, so uh, discrete is basically a single default, maybe a particular value, but continuous have a defined with separate values, and it is not like discrete. It cannot be restricted.
Can you give some example?
Example, maybe a graph or a line chart which falls off. That may be
Generally,
Mhm.
which shows a continuous
yeah.
data, the line graph. Um, Discrete data, I'm not sure what would be the example.
Okay.
Generally in the yeah. Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, generally in the statistics, what the continuous and discrete data means, in the continuous data, we will just to go to the class intervals like 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, like that. We will go to some class intervals and we do draw the graphs. But in the case of distinct data means, we will not go to the time intervals. Straight away we will just go to the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like that. We will give some distinct numbers and we will just to plot the graph. So for 0, how many candidates are there? For 1, how many candidates are there? Like that. So in the discrete they will not have any some time intervals like that. So that is what I thought.
Okay. So let me just tell you in very simple language, right? Discrete and kind of continuous. These are the data types of numerical fields, right? Data type of numerical fields. Now, what is the difference? So discrete. Okay, I'll take one example here. If I ask you like how many students are there or how many people are there in this particular training session, what would be the answer? Three, right? Three people are
Yeah,
there in
Yeah,
this session at this moment.
yeah.
yeah,
Will there be any situation that can we say that okay, there are 3.5 or 2.5 students or people in this session?
no,
Is it ever possible?
no,
Never,
No.
right? Right? So the numbers which can never be represented in decimal or intervals are called discrete numbers.
okay,
The numbers which can never be represented in form of decimal or intervals are called discrete.
okay,
But the numbers which are always in kind of a decimal format, they will be known as continuous,
okay,
right? So for
yeah,
example, if you're counting maybe quantities or maybe count of people, right? Or maybe row ID over here, it will always be kind of discrete. It will always be a whole number. You can never represent a row number as 1.5. You cannot, right? Row number can never be represented as 1.5. But yes, the weight, average, or maybe the age, or the quantity in terms of weight or volume, that can be. So those values which can be represented in decimal will be known as continuous format, continuous values. So over here, like row ID or employee ID, though if you represent that in the form of a numerical field, then it will be discrete. But otherwise, it's better to show it in the text format because you are never going to be do a calculation using these fields. But the fields like sales, profit, or let's say discount, so these things are in decimal, are continuous, and you will be mostly using these fields only in the calculation.
Yeah, yeah, I have wondered.
Mhm.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, if I give for the row ID like text format like that, so if I want to fetch data like row ID which is greater than 24 like that, we cannot do such operations, no, for that particular one.
See, that's what I'm saying. By default, let's say it is in the whole number, right? I'm saying if you want to keep it in numerical format, keep it as discrete or convert that into text. So you have these both options. You cannot take it as continuous numerical field, right? Either keep it discrete, discrete numerical numbers, or convert this into text. The condition what you are talking about is while writing the condition, you can change the data format anytime
Yeah, okay.
in the condition itself. You need not to come here and change it. In the condition only, you can change the data type and you can use it if it is greater than 10 or less than 10.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move ahead and count. We have already seen data type. Okay, rename is basically to rename your field. So you can do the same thing by double click over here and you can change the field name. So that's a simple. Now another option what you see here, that is replace values, right? I think we already did, right? Find and replace.
Yeah.
So it's that only. If you click over here, it will show you the same pop-up, whether you want to what you find and then what you want to replace with.
Okay.
It's showing the numerical because I have selected the first field right now. If you select any text field, you will get the text values. So for example, this and replace values,
Okay.
this one. Now fill. What is fill?
Select.
Select. I didn't get. How select?
Uh,
No, that
select.
one. Yeah.
Uh,
Fill up
we
and
got
fill
stuck.
down. That way, seen that if I want to fill down some color, we can just to put that cursor into the columns. If I give that fill down, so entire the down columns will be filled up with some color like that.
No. So it's over here. The fill is not
Mhm.
related to colors.
Okay.
Right? It's not at all colors. Okay. What happens? See, whenever you do some analysis, or maybe let's say you have this data over here. In case there are some blanks, correct? Let's say there is a numerical field and you want to do some analysis on top of that, and if there are number of blanks or maybe missing values, if you read the data analysis, you will read about the missing values or maybe outliers, how to correct that, right?
Okay.
You can just read this topic later on, but how to handle missing values or like outliers. So in case of missing values, if let's say you have a lot of missing values in your data, the values what you find out, whether average, total, that becomes that gives a wrong assumption. Why it gives the wrong assumption, let me tell you again. See, in data analytics projects, you work on the sample, you don't work on the full data, correct? And in sample, let's say if there are a lot of missing values or outliers, then your analysis is not going to be correct. So in order to kind of create your model or the sample data what you have created, you should avoid missing values or the outliers.
Mhm.
And that is why, let's say if you have a lot of missing values, how to handle that? This fill option is one of the choices. So what will happen? Let's say See, let's say you have couple of rows as a missing value. So what will happen in case if you want to kind of fill down or fill up, right? Let's say if you do fill down, so what will happen before starting the missing values, whatever the last value you got, the same value will get carry forward into other missing values. You understood what I said?
One more time, please.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, let me open Excel file here. Okay. So let's say in Excel, I have one column, let's say sales, and over here you have some value, then some value, uh, over here some value, then few fields are missing, then again you got some value, then again, once again, then some value, like this. Okay. So if I say I want to apply fill down approach, so my new column, what I will get, that will be like fill down means my last value will get carry forward. Before the missing values, the last value, whatever I got, that will be filled in the remaining fields, right? And if it is fill up, what will happen? Opposite. Over here, again the last value will be kind of getting carry forward, but the direction is opposite. Sorry.
But is this used in real time?
Yeah, it's used in the real time. The
Okay.
reason being, see, this is one of the approach. Other than this, in all the statistics projects, if the scenario happens, so what they do, at the place of changing the last value, they replace it by the average of data. What I mean is, just find out the average of this,
Okay.
because over here you're not worried about the individual value. I'm right. You are worried about the whole result of the sample. So let's say average data is this one, correct? So what you will do, you will replace by this value. This is the average
Okay.
only, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
And this is what I have seen, or even I have done in multiple projects. Average one is the most used techniques to ignore your missing values,
Okay.
because even after putting these values, if you try to find out the average, right, it will be very near to what you actually had. This was your original average, right,
Hmm. Hmm.
with the missing fields.
Yeah.
What I have done, I have replaced missing fields with the average values, and still I'm getting this average,
Okay.
right? So there could be no minor difference in decimals and all, right? There could be that, but you will get
Hmm.
very close values, and that is why this technique is mostly used. I'm not sure why Power BI has not given that, but this is the mostly used techniques, and these were like fill down, fill up. That is what they do over here. So even if, let's say, if I see average of this, Okay, now if I try to find out the average of these, right, this varies. It's going quite high, it's going quite up, which means fill up and fill down are not those that accurate as averages. And that is why, whenever I worked on statistics projects with or other analytical teams, they used average only because it is most accurate.
Okay.
So that is what your fill up and fill down does. I'm not sure we have any blank values or missing values here. We could have tried that. So, okay, let's try that. So over here in the dummy field, dummy data, can we, let's say, find and replace? No, it's not doing. I thought I'll replace it by space or maybe missing values, and then we can try that. Okay, okay, not at this moment. But you understood the logic, right? Why it is used for?
Yeah.
Fill up,
Yeah,
fill
yeah,
down. Then you
yeah.
got another option is pivot columns, right? Pivot column is basically kind of creating a pivot table out of this data. So let's say dummy table. I'll click on pivot columns. So it is asking me that what are your values, and then in the advanced option also like summarization on what basis you want to do the summarization. So value column, account name, currency, or maybe company, whatever you want to take. Correct. So I'll just take it. Use the name in the column this to create a new columns. No, this is the selector. That's why it is doing it. Let me select this one, company field, because it has only 3 values, right? Sorry, only one value at a time. How many values are there? Okay, leave it. I'll just choose another data. Orders. In orders, if you notice, like consumer segment, we have 4 values. It is coming in the rows right now. What if I convert this column into columns and get the sales? You understand the pivot structure, right? In pivot, what happens? You convert your one column into column values into columns actually. So, for example, let's say you have a date column, and in date column, you get all the dates. So, by using pivot, you can get those dates as a header, and below that, you can get your measure data. Getting? Or should I create
Yeah.
a pivot?
So this consumer will be as header, and those measures will
And
be created for it.
no, no, yeah, we can choose that what measures we want to show below
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay. So let's say I have selected this and we'll go to this pivot column. So use names in the column segment to create new columns. Fine. And values I would like to show sales, right? In advance, you will get more options. So like sales, you want to show as a sum. So I'll say okay. So the new fields, what you get over here, let's see segment. Okay. So over here, if you see consumer, corporate, home office, these are the values of segment. And under that, you are getting the sales data, what we selected there, right? So we just converted the values of a particular column into column headers. And under that, we chose one measure to be shown. That is what it's showing at this moment.
Your screen is not visible.
Screen is not visible. What
Yeah.
about now?
Now it's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, I still have a doubt in that one. So consumer is showing values. So what are the values? I'm not sure because after creating pivot, so what value it is showing under corporate and home office like that?
Okay, I selected sales, right? So it is going to take only sales values under it. Sum of sales. Okay, let me just do it once again. So what I said earlier, okay, let me choose little bit smaller data set so that you understand it properly. Right, first of all, I'll go here and we'll select columns, choose columns. So choose columns, I will take only, let's say 2 columns, or maybe mm, let me take, let's say category. I'll uncheck everything, I'll take category, and then I will take segment and sales, 3 fields to make it more refined. Correct? This is my data set. I have segment, I have category, and I have sales. Now what I want to take this segment values into columns, and below that I want to show this sales. So what I will do, I'll just go to pivot now, pivot column, and see if you read this comment here. It says use the names in column segment to create new columns. And under values, I will take sales. We can take it as maybe sum or any aggregation, whatever you want. Just a minute. So this is coming as text. I'll just convert this into decimal number. And then I will have that option to kind of take it as sum. Pivot column, sales. In advance, I can take sum. And then so far it is clear, right? These options, what I've selected.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll click on OK. So what will happen? It will just convert your, see category. You are getting 3 values, and then segment got converted into these columns: consumer, corporate, and home office. And against that, you are getting the sales numbers. So we had 2
Yeah,
dimensions.
okay.
We had 2 dimensions. One dimension is still here. One dimension got converted into columns, and under that, we are getting these values. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Then, okay, I think it is acting like uh, drill down like that, no? So
Mm-hmm.
it is acting like the drill down, no? I think it is segregating.
See, we will not say it as drill down because we have summarized that data, right? Drill down means you can further, go to the next level. Over here, it is not kind of a next level. We have simply kind of aggregated sales by, category and consumer, category or segment.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. It's as simple as in Excel pivot what we do. Right. I'll just show you. In Excel also you do the same thing. This is your data, let's say. You copy this whole data, and if you put it into Excel, you got, this is your data. So in Excel, what you do? Go here, alt, you just insert pivot table, next, next, and finish. So what you do? You have option either you can take segment first of all in the columns and get category on columns, and then show your sales. See, this is a similar kind of view. Or you have option to kind of change category over here and take segment over here, right? Or you can keep both the fields over here. But in that case, that column concept is not there. This is also a pivot table. But over here, you don't have columns based out of a column fields. So you can do by putting something on column. So this is the exact view what you're getting over here in this particular step. Okay. Furniture, 42. So consumer, corporate office, and home office. Okay. I'm looking at the numbers. These numbers doesn't match. Technology and home office, it's 18. Over here it is 17. Strange. It's not matching.
Or did we select the whole data?
That's what. Over here it has only 1001 rows, including your header, means 1000 rows only. And in this particular data, okay, it shows only top 1000 rows. That's why. In aggregation, it will utilize everything, but in preview, it shows only top 1000 rows. That's why. Okay, I thought why there is a difference in the data. Okay, fine. But you understood this logic, right? What I'm doing in the pivot?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, fair enough. So let's move to the next option. This was the pivot column, then unpivot column. So let's do the opposite over here. Now let's say unpivot column means, let's see what option it gives for unpivoting. Corporate, home office, and consumer. Okay. So if you see here, whatever value I had in one columns, right? It has just put that over here, consumer into rows, and marked it as attribute. So let me just do one thing. Can we do it multiple? So let's say if I select these three fields, consumer, corporate, and home office, and try to unpivot it, yes. So I'm getting that my original view kind of thing, right? But it's not the way what we had earlier, like this view. Over here we had a lot of duplicate rows, right, for segment and category. In this new view, we are still getting the aggregation, but the unique values or unique combinations of category and attribute over here. So by unpivoting, you are not getting the exact number of rows, but the total will be still same. Do you have doubt or any question on it?
So we
No,
cannot
as of now,
see
no.
the.
Today we will practice this one.
Right. See,
Then,
by directly practicing in Power BI, I would say read about pivot and unpivot. It will not be a whole
yeah.
big topic. It's a small topic only.
Okay.
Uh, right. The only challenge over here is, I mean, it's not challenge I would say, but this is what the nature of data is. What happens in this particular data format? You had a lot of duplicate rows, right? So when I say duplicate, basically combinations. So consumer and office supplies, you have this record. Then consumer and office supplies, you will this record, right? You're getting many duplicate records. Though the sales is different over here, but these records are repeating many times. Consumer furniture, consumer furniture, consumer furniture, consumer furniture, right? So in this view, when we unpivoted it, it has given you the unique combinations here. And against that, it is this total sum of the sales. At the
Okay.
place of showing all those individual values again and again, it has kind of given you the sum. That is what it is doing in
Okay.
unpivot
Okay.
as a
Yeah.
result. Yeah. All right. So after this move is left, right, beginning, and on. So it is basically to a column, like how you want to move. So let's say this column is at the far left, right. I can move it to the right. See, it is just the movement of a column. Not sure whether you will ever use this in uh, Power BI, right? But this feature is there, so that's fine. Generally people will click and drag and drop. at the place of going to this option. Correct?
Mhm.
Convert to a list. Okay, let's see what it is. So convert to a list, I'll just go to this particular page, and over here, because I have all the duplicate values, I'll select this one and we'll click on convert to list. So navigation step, yes, continue. It will add another, and it is showing you just all those values but the single field. You
Okay.
getting? Right? It is a kind of list. But again, my question remains the same. I'm not sure where I'm going to use it. Until unless the values are not unique, I don't see any benefit of it.
Mhm.
If I would have got unique values, I might have used somewhere. Okay. But yes, what you can do is you got unique values here. Sorry, you got the only column here. Now you can go to home and then you can use remove duplicate kind of thing. You must have that. Remove items, bottoms, no. Remove duplicates. Correct? If you do so, you get all the unique values.
Mhm. Okay.
So, right. Okay. So pivot, unpivot, move, convert to list, all done. Split column we already saw. Split by delimiter, number of characters, position,
Yeah.
lowercase, uppercase. So we have already seen it. Then format. Again, it's related to your uppercase, lowercase. So maybe ship mode. If you want to convert everything in uppercase, you can maybe utilize this. So say upper, everything got converted into uppercase.
Okay.
Or maybe let's say add prefix. So let's say if I add as mode, it will add mode into all the values.
Mhm. Okay.
What is trim? Where do we use trim?
Mm.
In the text format, if in any format, if I want to trim some left data or right data like that, so in Excel, ltrim and rtrim functions are there, maybe similar to that one.
Yeah.
Right. So these are it's like the formats, functions. What you see here, like uppercase, lowercase, trim, clean. All of these are same as Excel. Trim means it will kind of trailing spaces, or maybe in the beginning if there is some space, right? You can remove that. Clean will kind of go ahead and remove all the like special characters generally, or I would say non-printable characters. So sometimes you get in text, right? There is some non-printable characters. So it will remove those characters from your data. So over here, let's say I'm not sure whether there is a space. You can just simply directly apply this trim, or let's say if I change it further to capitalize each word. Okay. Clean, I'm not sure whether we have any non-printable characters, but if it is there, then you can use it and ignore those. So maybe this field we can try to trim first of all. Okay, so based on your requirement, maybe you can use it. It's just simple Excel functions: trim, clean, uppercase, lowercase, right? Okay, so let's talk about this one, extract. It says length, first character, last character, range, text before delimiter, text after delimiter, text between delimiter. So it is like similar to what we have split column. Some features similar to that. The split was also kind of, splitting your column into multiple fields. The same thing over here. Extract will help you to kind of extract either the length of, let's say if I do length of this column. So product name. So what it has done, product name field. Okay. So it has replaced that value. The column which I selected, right? Product name, it has directly given you the length of that field, right? The name might you might not see at this moment, but they have just simply converted it into the length. You're getting it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? See, the more important thing is over here, whatever syntax or the code which you see here, do you know what it is? For every action you are getting similar code. Whatever actions we have taken, you get that code over here. See what language it is written, or what do we call it? You will never code about it, but I'm asking like what it is, because it is good to know. You might need it. Over here in Power BI, we are not going to use it, or basically we are not going to code it, but it's good to know that what it is. You don't know what it is.
No, no.
Okay.
No.
This is what we call as Power Query,
Okay.
right? So for each step what we are performing, Power BI itself is generating a Power Query for you, right? You will never code in Power Query anywhere. You system automatically generates it. You'll be writing DAX as we go, but over here it is Power Query, right? Over here you can see also the tab name. It says Power Query Editor. So for each step what we have been doing, system automatically creates a Power Query for you. The same Power Query is used in Power Pivot in Excel
Yeah.
or in Power BI, right? So
Mm-hmm.
basically, you can say that there are two languages what we use here in Power BI. One is this one, Power Query, and another is basically your DAX functions. Correct? So fine. We were here at extract, and we kind of just recently converted our product name into product length of the name. So that's what we are getting over here. In case you want, you can do further things. Maybe the range. Okay, what is range? How can range returns a specific number of characters from each value in this column, starting at a specified index? Okay, let's see. I'll just go ahead and use range. Let's say for this field category, and I'll say extract range. Enter the index of the first character and the number of, okay, let's say I'll give A and the number of characters maybe five. Sorry, four. Fine. Let's see. Okay, it says enter the index, starting index maybe. Okay, 2 to 5. So what it will do, it will just kind of, the mid function what we apply in Excel, mid or substring in SQL Server. So it will kind of, between the range, it will give you all the characters. So like I gave 2 to 4. So out of furniture, it is giving RNITU, and from what is this? Supplies, office supplies. So for office supplies, from second, it started next four characters. Right? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Right? It is a mid function what we use. Okay. Right. Next thing, if you go to text before delimiter, we don't. Okay, over here we have a delimiter. So if we do text before delimiter and we give our delimiter, that is this, sorry, this one. So text before this delimiter. Over here, if you see, there are two delimiters, right? So by default, it will pick up the first one. And if I go to advanced, let's see what options are there. So it says from the start of the input or number of the delimiter to skip. So over here, let's say you got multiple delimiters, you can use advanced options, or maybe by default, if you do this one, it's going to take the first occurrence. Oh, I mean, category field was selected actually. Let's select this one and do text before delimiter. We'll give hyphen and then OK. So if you see, before delimiter, we had these three characters. It is giving you that only, and rest of them is gone. Right. Rest of the options you can explore, right? Depending on your
Yeah.
requirement only, you will be using it because these are the simple ones, right? I don't think any challenges you will face. What do you say?
Mm, no.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is parts, XML or JSON format. So not in this scenario, but there could be a situation wherein you will have JSON data or XML data. Let's see if I have any. Okay. So this is the file which I have just converted, from our text data to JSON format. Yeah. I was asking what is the full form of JSON? JSON.
Sorry, don't know.
Okay. So it's
It's
basically,
it,
yeah, it's basically file
JavaScript.
related to JavaScript. So it's known as JavaScript object notion, right? So the object data object in JavaScript are represented into JSON format. It's a similar to XML format. So if you open this file, you'll get your data like this. Each row has been kind of shown into one curly braces. Name, category, rank, and a description. Same goes with the another row. So it is what we call as JavaScript object notion. So I'll just go ahead and I'll use this file into Power BI now. Let's see whether Power BI is able to read it or not. Correct? So we'll go to home. Let me just close and apply. See what will happen. Sometimes you get your data wherein a particular field will have JSON format. All other data will be in tabular format, but particular field will be in JSON format. So the option what we were going through, we can utilize those options to kind of convert that particular field into tabular format. So see all the changes what we have done, because of which it's all my visualizations are not working. Okay, fine. Let's just go here and add another data set. We'll click on get more. Over here we direct have a, we have a direct option called JSON. If we select it, we'll go ahead and connect to that file and right. So it shows you all individual records over here, right? If you click on any of these records, see, you can see the details related to those records. Can go back, sorry, convert CSV only, source, and it's here. If you directly click on convert to table, let's say tab, show as errors, okay. So what it does, it has just converted that data, I mean in the actual format here. So this does, I don't think it will work for us. Right. So all your objects within the JSON file are shown over here. If you click on individual one, you can get the individual record, category, rank, and description. But how would you read it? I mean, will Power BI read and can we do the reporting using this? Is it possible?
I think yes.
Right. See, Power BI has read it already in this format. You got in the tabular format. It is just because each row is an object there. Each row is an object. So that's why it is showing you as the record. But if you click on it, you see the details. So it definitely you can kind of, use it, and Power BI will also be able to read it for you. Right. I'll show you one dashboard which I created out of JSON object only. I mean, we were getting the output from API. I think that was in Tableau I created. It's there in the Tableau public portal, right? But ultimately, right? I mean, you can connect your JSON file, and let's say if there is only one field. Okay, let me just returns.
Yeah, I
That's a
have one doubt over there. Why our visuals and all changed there, but still the source data is there? No, only we made some transformations. Why our data is and all went?
yep. I'll come to that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to show whether from this current JSON, if we can get the structured column. Let's say no. Right now, nothing can be done. Fine. Okay. To your question, uh, why our data elements got failed? I mean, now why charts are these things are not working. So let's go to data tab once again. I think it's here. Over here, if you see, right, the visuals what we created, those visuals were based out of our source data. But in the source table, like orders to, we have done a lot of changes since that. We have kind of applied navigation. See these many steps what we have done. We have changed almost all of our fields, and that is why, not all of, I would say, but most of our fields, and that is why visuals are kind of utilizing the last step what we have done. In last step, we have already changed many things, and that's the reason it is failing there. So if you kind of remove all these things and just convert it into the original shape what our data had, you will start getting the visualizations once again. Right. So I'll just go here, close and apply. And then if you go back to your visuals, Okay, it's still failing. Append. Okay, that is what we were using, like orders. So okay, see, the problem is here in this particular data you used like category, or we had the field names, but over here we are getting column 1, column 2, like that. That is one more problem. So let's see. Okay, so I'll just convert this row ID, like first row, into headers. Use first row as headers. Now let's go back again. Let's see that what happens there. Still few errors are there. Okay, so this one is not working. I think it has funnel. Okay, then forecast and trend. Over here also few things are not working. And I think this one is fine. Right. See, ultimately, let me tell you that what exactly happens as soon as you transform your data, right? Let's say if any reference related to your map or any chart breaks, then definitely there would be a problem in that visualization, right? And over here, the tables, whatever is the last step what you have done in the transformation tab, it shows that data type over here. Irrespective of the source data, it shows the last transformed data and shows that here. So in case you do your visualization and then transform your data, then there will always be this risk. So that is why transform tab, I mean, as soon as you load your data, you get the transform option. Are you getting? When we were connecting to Excel file, we were getting two options, load or transform.
Yeah.
So that's what. That is why transform comes very first before the visualization. So that if you want to make any change in the data, you can do that before creating visualization, because if you do the transformation after visualization and if any field changes or reference changes, your visualization will fail. It will give you error.
Okay.
So now even like I don't know like what should I do over here because it is failing. It says something went wrong with one or more fields. Orders to subcategory. Hierarchy. Okay, it says hierarchy is not there now. So we had one hierarchy, I believe, what we created. Product hierarchy. So that hierarchy is somehow not there now. So maybe I can drag category. Let's say category, subcategory, and product name. That is what it was looking for, right? Same goes with these charts. So something went wrong with one or more fields. What is that? Again, same subcategory hierarchy. So I believe we created one hierarchy, but now as of now it is not there. So over here again, it would be your category, then subcategory, and then product name. And even with this, I believe this was map or cross table. The same field here. So all the errors what you were getting were because of hierarchy only, right? Any questions?
No.
No.
Okay. All right. So, guys, just do one thing. Um, go through all the options what we kind of covered so far, whether it was in like where is the transform tab? Yeah, the first tab, home tab, or transform the second tab. Over here, there are new options related to some statistics and trigonometry. So right now you can skip these things, these options. R script,
Okay.
Python script, and these options you can skip till here only, right? Starting from this and maybe add column, you can skip that also right now. Yeah, fine. So just revise your these first two tabs, except
Mm,
these trigonometrical and script based fields, and we'll meet again so that we can kind of go further on these options. Okay.
okay.
Actually, I was getting a call, so I need to jump on that meeting. That's why I'm wrapping it up, right? Otherwise, we could have
Yeah.
covered few more.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So I'll be sharing this video, but yes, over here, I think it's not tough. Its main thing is like you explore all the options,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
right? So go through
Okay.
Yeah.
this, and we'll meet again tomorrow.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Sure.
okay then.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
bye bye.